I am Precious Mzea Sakaliji. Welcome to Camnet TV main news. The headlines. UPND CADRE shot dead in KALIKI-LIKI put to rest. Constitutional Court rejects Malanji'S application to produce his grade 12 certificate. Government to evacuate 141 Zambians currently in Ukraine. In international news, Russian forces launch full-scale invasion of Ukraine. And in sports, UEFA to move Champions League final from Russia due to Ukraine's crisis. Join me with the details after this commercial. Are you a qualified and skilled marketing person? Have you got the passion and motivation as a marketer? Camnet TV is looking for self-motivated, qualified marketers. For more details, please call 0962 965 883 or send your details to the email info@camnettvafrica.com. Remember that Camnet TV is not just another channel.
We still need more players, yes, because we need to balance the team. We need to have maybe on one position 3 or 4 players.
The third Camnet Stars football trial is on. This time, Camnet Stars are looking for young, talented and skilled soccer players between the age of 18 and 20 years old. Start your lucrative football career in Europe this July. If you know you are one of Zambia's best gifted soccer players, don't waste your time. On Sunday, the 12th March 2022, there will be trials for professional soccer stars. Venue, Kablonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Time, registration 13 hours. Kick-off 14 hours. 100 kwacha non-refundable shall be paid and your birth records must be produced upon registration. Camnet Stars, setting football standards for international market.
And now the main news in detail. Persistent sewer spillage in Lusaka's Helen Kaunda area has continued to pose health risks to the residents who are now calling for an urgent overhaul of the sewer system. In an interview, the residents say the continued sewer spillages in one of the area community for the last 6 months say there is need for a permanent solution of spillages since they have continued despite being fixed time and again. Meanwhile, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company Public Relations Officer Shamba Mzungu says some areas of Lusaka, such as Helen Kaunda, have old sewer systems and have been earmarked for reconstruction.
Despite Zambia aiming to achieve clean water and sanitation for all by 2030 as enshrined in Sustainable Development Goal number 6, the picture on the ground is still a far cry from this goal. From reports of erratic water supply, water pipe bursts, to overflowing sewer spillages, concerns about clean water and sanitation have been high. These concerns have worsened especially with the onset of the rain season, as this has brought about various fears which border on waterborne diseases like cholera and diarrhea. For these residents of Lusaka's Helen Kaunda, their call is for a permanent solution, such as an overhaul of the sewer infrastructure system, stating that the area has been experiencing sewer spillages for the last 6 months now, as the spillages only change location.
So of late we've been complaining about the overflow of the water coming from the sewage systems, and then with the rains that are coming down every day, they've been carrying that same water and overflowing the whole place. And it's been hard for us to actually go through the same places that are filled with this water, fearing infections, and yes, what comes with it. There are very bad, they're actually negative effects that come with it. And we've tried making calls here and there. We've not been given, we've been given responses, but the responses are quite slow.
So this problem has been ongoing for quite some time right now. We've tried to make efforts to the Lusaka water so it, but it's like they're not doing anything about it. Their response it's a bit slow. So we're expecting maybe they'll try to do something by the end of the month from, I think it's been 6 months now, should I say. We go there, we complain, but they do nothing, because right now it's a health hazard, as you can see, because we're likely to get affected by diseases such as cholera, typhoid, and other diseases that come with water.
kwa makolera madairia twakotamo infect so troyekeshene kwa masuwa ya fuasa masaki bombelako at least instresungana ewe thiali chindama sana.
Meanwhile, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company Public Relations Officer Mr. Nshamba Mzungu has attributed the same to dilapidated sewer infrastructure, stating that some areas in Lusaka have been earmarked for sewer infrastructure reconstruction.
We will be doing this gradually. We should be able to address the problems that we have in these communities. So Helen Kaunda is one of the areas which has old and dilapidated infrastructure. We are aware of that situation, but to mitigate the situation, right now what we've been doing is that we have a standby crew which is going around in that community and many other communities to ensure that when we have blockages, they go there and unblock so that we have the system is working normally in the meantime.
Meanwhile, in a related development, Lusaka Water Managing Director Engineer Jonathan Kampata says the water utility company has engaged the banking sector to improve water services so as to enable paying of water bills via mobile phones through these banks.
The result of this is that it provides an opportunity for our customers to take control of their bills because they can pay whatever resources they actually have at any time. You don't have to wait for the full bill to come at the end of the month. We've got a saying in Lusaka Water, we say, "Di pila pangono pangono." So you can pay even 10 kwacha, 20 kwacha, or whatever amount you have. I think it's convenient at any time to make those payments.
If to attain 2030 goals of clean water and sanitation, stakeholders have been suggesting for the whole sewer system to be relooked at, especially in small townships where this problem seems to be rampant. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
A man of Siavonga district of Southern Province says he has exhausted all his savings in taking care of his 17-year-old daughter living with albinism and diagnosed with cancer. Emmanuel Kandama says his daughter has been receiving medical attention from the Cancer Diseases Hospital in Lusaka since December last year and says due to the longevity of the process, he has run out of money to get back to his hometown. Mr. Kandama has since appealed for help from stakeholders to help him get home and start a business that will allow him have resources to take care of his child when she is discharged from hospital.
Emmanuel Kandama is a man of Siavonga district in Southern Province whose 17-year-old child living with albinism has been diagnosed with cancer and is currently admitted at the Cancer Diseases Hospital at the University Teaching Hospital. Mr. Kandama has explained that his child has since December of 2021 been receiving medical attention from the hospital. The father, who has been frequenting to Lusaka since the child was admitted, now says he has run out of resources for upkeep as well as his savings have all been exhausted in supporting the child.
Last year, treatment yenda chabe bwinu na mpala bampasa then problem yamene yankala yakoni yakuti tankalisa ma resources yamene nali nayo yasira so po yambira kuti niyambe kuyanganira pamwana munga transport na vinango
Mr. Kandama, who has been advised by staff at the hospital to go back home and raise some resources to take care of the child once she is discharged, now seeks intervention from well-wishers to help him with transport to ferry him back to his hometown, as well as some capital to start a business which will allow him support the child once he is discharged.
Doctors vanisa advise kutia imwenda chape kunyumba musia mai wake na mwana. Mukapanga ndrama ku nyumba manje kupanga ndrama uko pomene nzayambira paniso kuchifua ndrama za sira zonse mwana afunika mafuta mzi wa maopino wavuta nkanda yawo ifuna lotion yakuta nkanda yake kwelele kwini so ndrama nilibe so nipempa tandizo ndio amene bangankale na mtima wabwino bantandizirako kuti uyu mwana nipanise kumtandizirako patupi yake na umoyo wake futa afunika kuti akapelele paskulu ngatankala bwino akapelele paskulu shukwa kunali stigma pamene anafuna kuti ayambe skulu banzake bayamba kumuseka so vija mwana anayamba kuziwelamu anabwela siya school.
Prudence Jota reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities will commence inspection of various learning institutions to find out if their facilities are disability friendly. Speaking to the media, Acting Director General Nicholas Goma says it is vital for learning institutions to adhere to the Disability Act that seeks to fight for rights of persons living with disability. He adds that every Zambian deserves an opportunity to learn and contribute to the country's development.
The Persons with Disability Act of 2012 is an act to continue the existence of the Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities. It also defines its functions and powers, such as promoting the participation of persons with disabilities with equal opportunities. The opportunities that include civil, political, economic, social, and cultural spheres. That said, the Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities says they will commence with the inspections of various learning institutions to find out if their facilities meet persons living with disabilities needs.
Among some of, because when there is an act, it means there must be compliance to that act. So for now, our focus is that we just want to provide an opportunity for learning. Every institution must be given an opportunity to learn and see how best later on we can improve the situation for persons with disability. So that's the approach we are taking for now. We need to provide lesson learning.
ZAPID Acting Director says learning institutions should adhere to the Zambia Disability Act.
Denying a person with disability the rights to certain access, it's against the law. That's why it's actually in the act. It's against their right. So, but for now, I think I'll keep on saying that the ministry's approach and the Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities approach is that we want to maybe focus on sensitization. We need to inform the public so that they are aware. It is possible that at times certain things are done because there is lack of information and knowledge about what's supposed to happen.
The Act is also there to provide for the mainstreaming of disability issues as an integral part of national policies and strategies. Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The United Party for National Development member who was shot dead in KALIKI-LIKI compound on Monday morning by unknown people has been put to rest. Speaking at the burial site, UPND Lusaka Province, Youth Chairperson Anderson Banda, who led the party youth officials, says the death of Chama remains suspicious, calling on the investigative wing to investigate this matter and bring the culprit to book.
The UPND late youth of Mnali constituency, Chama Mwango, has been put to rest Thursday, February 24, 2022. Mr. Mwango was shot dead in the early hours of Monday by unknown people in Mutendere near his house. Speaking during the burial, UPND Lusaka Province Youth Chairperson Anderson Banda has described his death as suspicious and disheartening.
Armed a lot of people with unlicensed guns. We said, can you disarm these criminals? Because they'll start killing innocent people like it has happened today. Innocent man has died because of criminals who are in possession of guns. It's not a thing that anyone can condone to continue happening. So kwimira kombari ya youth tifuna kuishta assure family ya Chama kuti uyu Chama ni muntu amentinamenya naye nkhondo, ni muntu amenteze naye mu family ya UPND.
Mr. Banda has since assured the family of the late Chama that UPND will honor his work by taking care of his children.
Tifuna kuishta assure family ya Chama kuti uyu Chama ni muntu amentinamenya naye nkhondo, ni muntu amenteze naye mu family ya UPND kuti tifike paro tinkale mboma. So as the party family amene asiyangana bwanji because uyu muntu kwamene anza kupezeka ndi kuchipani, ntchito anza kuchita ni chipani, ni freedom fighter. So we need to honor him even in his death by making sure that we look after his children and the family.
Chamamwango leaves behind 2 children and the police is still investigating his death. May his soul rest in peace. Alex Shimba, Camnet News in Lusaka.
The Democratic Party has challenged the United Party for National Development administration to approach the fight against corruption agenda with more clarity. In an interview with Camnet News, DP spokesperson Kwewisa Mwanawina alleges that so far the new administration lacks a clear plan on addressing corruption in the country. Mr. Mwanawina notes that the arrest of the former ruling party officials depicts the lack of a better approach and proves that they are witch hunting as part of political gimmicks. He has since called on the administration to not show any partiality to an extent where even those in power found wanting must be investigated and charged.
That they took too long. They did not have a formula. They took too long, and because white-collar crimes can be disguised. And what we are going to see is that there are going to be so many arrests, and these arrests are going to be in futility because some of it, they have not had a formula of who they are going to use. Now they have a team, which I believe we are supporting because it's headed by Madam Chilwa, and we believe in her confidence. We believe in her competence. And what we are saying is the fight against corruption is a fight against themselves. We have asked questions, the things that are being done. You heard of somebody being arrested who is in UPND, who got away with fertilizer. That is, we should begin to curb it from the root. And UPND should be able to send a message very clearly to the members that if you are found corrupt, we are going to arrest you. But what we have seen their members. Imagine the recording. How long was it? Up to now, they're saying they can't find it. You know that Zikta people some people were fired. So we want to know if those people were fired and they misconducted themselves. We need them prosecuted. If they were violating our privacy, if they were violating our rights. That is the way you fight corruption. You are firm. And they are not firm, sir. But if you today produce a document on them, they arrest you. Is that right? Is that the way you fight corruption if it's two-faced? No. It's got to be one face. And one face means if you are a minister and you've misconducted yourself, fire them.
In other news, stakeholders have expressed divergent views over the recommendation by the Zambia Law Development Commission to criminalize marital rape. In an interview, a gender activist, Charit Kampamba, has called for a stakeholders consultative meeting before the same is taken before Parliament for ratification, as there are different aspects involved. Meanwhile, clergyman Bishop David Masupa has advised against this law, stating that it will destroy marriages.
The Zambia Law Development Commission has been the highlight in the media for the past 1 week, facing scrutiny following its suggestion for the offense of bigamy to be decriminalized in the Penal Code. The Commission has come forward once again, recommending that marital rape should be criminalized, as while the offense of rape is clearly spelled out along with its punishment, marital rape is not.
Well, under our desk research regarding international and regional instruments, we found that the Convention on the Elimination of Violence Against Women recognizes the need for countries that have signed that convention, which includes Zambia, to explicitly criminalize marital rape in legislation, because a lot of violence against women does occur within intimate partner relationships.
While various stakeholders like the Young Women Christian Association feel this is a good step in fighting gender-based violence, other gender activists feel that this should first be discussed among relevant stakeholders. A gender activist, Ms. Charity Kampamba, says the matter is not simple as it involves the church, traditional counselors, and gender organizations.
So if we say this is rape, yes, it could be rape, it could not be rape, but then this should go with some sensitization to these couples that are in this. And therefore, for now, all what we would call for is, prior to marriage, can we ensure that all our women and the men are taught to the latter so that they know how to deal with these things up to the end. And like putting it across to say, no, this is rape and therefore this should be a criminal. Yes, we know we have the law and everything is guided by the law. No one is above the law. But a marriage sacred is something that no one cannot understand. So we feel for now this should be under discussion.
Meanwhile, in a phone interview, a clergyman, Bishop David Masupa, says the same should not be entertained.
I really don't know what the Zambia Law Development Commission really wants to turn this country into, because now they are trying to incite women to be revealing what happens in the bedroom, because most of it which will be reported may not even be true. So I would rather they let the people of Zambia decide for themselves whether that is viable or it is not viable.
The stakeholders have called for consultative meetings on matters of national interest before key decisions are made. Zipporah Mchala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Justice Minister Mulambo Haimbe has stressed on the urgent need to reform the Public Order Act and prevent its abuse. Mr. Haimbe explains that in an order to uphold the rule of law, protect human rights, and to ensure that public order is managed, the Public Order Act will be reviewed. He adds that the United Party for National Development Administration is committed to give autonomy to the police for the reform in the manner in which regulation of public assemblies and processions are managed. This was contained in a statement issued on his behalf by Permanent Secretary for Legal Affairs at the Ministry of Justice, Mwenya Bwalia, at a stakeholders engagement meeting of Public Order Management and Legal Framework in Lusaka. Meanwhile, Gears Initiative Director McDonald Jipenzi has reminded the UPND to walk the campaign talk of repealing the act and honor those who suffered harassment, injuries, including death because of the enforcement of the act.
The shortcomings identified by the Supreme Court, it is imperative to reform the Public Order Act and prevent its abuse. The UPND government further commits to give autonomy to the police in the enforcement of the Act and to put in place mechanisms that allow for reform in the manner in which regulation of the public procession or assemblies are managed. May I reiterate, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that in an effort to uphold the rule of law, protect human rights, and to ensure that public order is managed, the Public Order Act will be reviewed so as to ensure that the power is given to the citizens of Zambia to exercise their rights as enshrined in the Constitution.
Gears Initiative is also hopeful that the new Dawn government will not fall to the narrative that the act is good because they are in government. We hope that they will avoid this and quickly repeal this law, because doing so, not repealing this law will be a political suicide, because those who refuse to do so in the past and now in the opposition are feeling the negative effect of this law on their political activities and are now crying foul. We all know that political power is vanity, and it's like chasing the wind.
Foreign Affairs Minister Stanley Kakubo says government will begin to evacuate the 141 Zambian nationals that are in Ukraine. Addressing the media Thursday, Mr. Kakubo says this development is as a result of the tension that is going on between Russia and Ukraine. Mr. Kakubo says President Hakainde Hichilema has directed that the process begin soon. The minister adds that the evacuation targeted towards the Zambians in Ukraine aims at safeguarding the citizens, urging them to remain calm as government undertakes this process.
Especially in the last 24 hours, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, the President of the Republic of Zambia, has made a decision to begin the evacuation process of citizens, of Zambian citizens in that country. As you may be aware, government had earlier indicated that we would continue to monitor the situation in Ukraine very closely, and that the Zambian embassy in Moscow has been in constant touch with our nationals regarding this issue as it unfolds. The public may also wish to note that we have 141 non-Zambians, most of them students, pursuing their studies in various cities across Ukraine. And following this regrettable latest development in the last 24 hours, the government has had to take this course of action in order to ensure safety of our nationals. The exercise is being coordinated by the relevant government machinery, and would like to take this opportunity also to assure the public, especially the students who are out there and their respective parents, their guardians.
Chirundu, Nakonde and Mwami borders soon to upgrade depending on the need under the Zambia border post upgrading projects. Speaking at the launch of the project, Commerce, Trade and Industry Minister Chipoka Mlenga says the 3 border posts have been faced with trade challenges which the project seeks to address. The upgrade being undertaken at a cost of €6,880,000 project is being supported by the European Union. And EU representative charged the affairs Bruno Hedsons says the project is being financed under the 11th EDF Trade Facilitation Program.
It is a known fact that Zambia's domestic market is too small to support sustained high growth, which is necessary to make a marked reduction in poverty. Therefore, exports have become an important subject for generating future high growth in Zambia. However, poor infrastructure, technology and coordination at the border post has a great potential to hamper trade flows, thereby affecting the flow of cash in an economy. The government, through the support from the European Union, has since launched the Zambian Border Post Upgrade Project, which will upgrade 3 border posts, among them Chirundu, Nakonde and Mwami border posts.
A €6,880,000 subdelegation agreement was signed with Zambia in November 2020. The activities implemented in Zambia consist of upgrading border posts at Chirundu, that's the border with Zimbabwe, Nakonde with Tanzania, and Mwami at the border with Malawi.
And Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry Chipoka Mlenga has highlighted the expected results from the project.
We lament this current situation at our border posts. Not very long ago, we were just coming in from our border in Nakonde, still trying to resolve issues that are impending there because of the difficulties that our colleagues, both in Zambia and the Tanzanian side, are faced with just to get their goods across. We need to call this one an end game and find a way to sort out this problem for once and for all. And you are key players in what you have just done.
And COMESA Assistant Secretary General says the program seeks to strengthen management of borders as well as facilitate trade and transport systems within the targeted border post in Zambia and other border posts across the COMESA region.
The support for the upgrade project is provided for under the overall Euro 48 million agreement signed between COMESA Secretariat and the EU and aims to increase intra-regional trade flows of goods, persons and services by reducing the clearance costs and delays through reduction of entities across borders.
Zambian economy is currently operating in a very challenging macroeconomic environment. Therefore, addressing the present economic situation will require consistent efforts from a broader spectrum of stakeholders. Prudence Jota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The government says the National Registration Identification System will revolutionize the information communication technology sector by stirring the socio-political economic spheres. Minister of Technology and Science Felix Mtati says this will reduce government's expenditure and will help service providers improve consumer experience. The minister was speaking during a stakeholders meeting in Lusaka Thursday. Speaking during the SEB meeting, Finance Minister Stumbeko Msokotwane expressed optimism that the project, once fully operational, will end the physical voter registration and help in the implementation of the students' loan system, among other issues. Meanwhile, e-Government Director Milna Mukuni says the infrastructure and hardware setup has already been completed. He explained that the new electronic ID that will replace the current National Registration Card NRC will have enhanced security features, including the fingerprints.
Every contact you have with government, if you go to my colleague who's not here, Minister of Home Affairs, and you want a service, you'll be asked to fill in form, whatever is called. You come to the Minister of Tech, you'll be called fill in form, whatever it's called. So with each government department and ministry, there are different forms. So how do we have only one form? You can only have that if you have got an electronic ID. So you fill in once. It then eliminates multiple contact with government. And that's what we're talking about in terms of digital platforms.
So this utilizes our being in one room today to be able to identify such a product. Obviously, this is going to be costly, but if we are able to do a good job in identifying what we want, it's an investment that's worth it, and perhaps we can also persuade those who sometimes assist us to join with us and get this job done.
You're watching Camnet TV Main News. We take our first set of commercials. We'll be back with more after this.
You know I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, my dear. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Are you a qualified and skilled marketing person? Have you got the passion and motivation as a marketer? Camnet TV is looking for self-motivated qualified marketers. For more details, please call 0962 965 883 or send your details to the email info@camnettvafrica.com. Remember that Camnet TV is not just another channel.
We still need more players, yes, because we need to balance the team. We need to have maybe on one position 3 or 4 players.
The third Camnet Stars football trial is on. This time, Camnet Stars are looking for young, talented and skilled soccer players between the age of 18 and 20 years old. Start your lucrative football career in Europe this July. If you know you are one of Zambia's best gifted soccer players, don't waste your time. On Sunday, the 12th March 2022, there will be trials for professional soccer stars. Venue, Kablonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Time, registration 13 hours. Kick-off 14 hours. 100 kwacha non-refundable shall be paid, and your birth records must be produced upon registration. Camnet Stars, setting football standards for international market.
Welcome back. We continue with the rest of the main news. Vice President Mtalana Lumango has disclosed that 7,020 houses were adversely affected by floods since the start of the rain season to February 14, 2022 countrywide. Speaking on the floor of Parliament, Mrs. Nalumango says the floods have been characterized with loss of infrastructure, food and lives, with 4 in Southern Province, 1 in Eastern Province and 1 in Western Province being recorded. The Vice President also revealed that 1,066 households have been displaced from the habitual home to safer settlements, having the 400 households in camps. She has, however, assured the government through the DMMU has spent about 29 million kwacha on humanitarian interventions.
The flooding situation has been characterized by loss of human lives. 6 lives were lost due to flash floods, 4 in Southern Province, 1 in Eastern Province, and 1 life in Western Province. Further, 1,066 households have been displaced from their habitual residence. Though some displaced households have reportedly reintegrated into nearby communities. Currently, 433 households are in temporal camps, which have been established in Namwala, Monze, and Mwandi districts mainly, as well as an additional 10 households in Chipulukusu, Mapalo Ward in Ndola, who had their homes affected by the floods and heavy rains. Given the nature and intensity of the flooding, transport and communication links in terms of associated infrastructure, such as roads, crossing points, and bridges have been damaged or washed away, hindering economic activities and disturbing normal functioning of some communities. Based on the reports reaching our regional offices, at least a total of 107 bridges and crossing points have been damaged or washed away, while 130 schools and 46 health posts have had roofs blown off during the 2021-2022 rain season.
The Zambia Statistical Agency has indicated that a 25-kilogram bag of breakfast milli meal in Chinsali district of Mchinga province was averaging at 200 kwacha in the month of February 2022. Zamstat interim statistician General Mlenga Msepa says a 25-kilogram bag of roller meal in Chambeshe district was selling at 165 kwacha. Mr. Mlenga says the national average price for a 25-kilogram bag of milli meal stood at 156 kwacha, 57 ngwe this month. And Mr. Mlenga, who addressed the media Thursday during the dissemination of the monthly bulletin, says the annual inflation rate for February 2022 has eased to 14.2% from 15.1% recorded in January 2022. He says the slowdown in annual inflation was mainly contributed to the easing in prices of some foods and non-food items, which was mainly due to the base effects. Some rice traders in Isoka district have lamented a slow business flow due to bad road network from supplying districts. One of the rice sellers, Simia Nachinga, has told Camnet News that both the selling and ordering prices have doubled since January 2022, which is becoming a challenge to sustain the business. In the same vein, Ida Siquiwela says the traders are hopeful that after the rain season, things will normalize in as far as business in the districts are concerned.
Some rice traders in Isoka district have lamented a slow business flow in the district. One of the traders, Semiana Chinga, says the business has been on the low side since January 2022, which is becoming a challenge to sustain.
Business, it is slow. So pali no shtamula ndokuti abantu balifunye fyakudya fingi bashapanshite ino pali no shite fyakudya nomba tatukwete fire shupi ko twe order 75 so umuntu poti mupele muri 80 kwacha bale shupa alo bambya banesu ma 85 chakuti fe makusungira tendalama alo tute tuwikale kunganda abana nshibalalie shinshwa walasunga shanuruko so mwandi kuikosele shaka otherwise fifia na shupa kwamba January to February not shupa sana pefingi.
In the same vein, Aida Sikwibile laments of the high ordering prices that eventually affecting the selling price, thereby making it hard to trade.
When a business muno muisoka tampa mu December kufika ino February alibala kwati alishupa komwe impiasha alishupa ku bantu. So business yali shupa ya kudonsa fe kula tintirira fe tulepo nkanefe yale ndaka le yale fumalize na ngfetu wa order muri 60 55 but yale fuma nomba shino shikutu wa order limbi muri 70 75 taile fuma kutila ukwato we muntu kwate mpio esho filo kwate nafikusana ko kalena ino but na idura uno mwaka nombe mpia tashimole.
They have attributed the rice supply chain to bad road networks from nearby areas, eventually doubling the cost of doing the business in the district. Alex Shimba, Camnet News, Isoka District.
The Constitutional Court has rejected the application by Kwacha Member of Parliament Joseph Malanji to produce his grade 12 school certificate. Mr. Malanji in this case has appealed against the Lusaka High Court's decision to nullify his seat on grounds that he does not possess a grade 12 certificate, which is a requirement for standing as Member of Parliament. At the last court session, Mr. Malanji applied for the court to allow him to produce his grade 12 school certificate as it was in the interest of justice and would help the court come to the final decision on whether to uphold or dismiss the High Court's decision to nullify his parliamentary seat. However, when the case came up for ruling Thursday morning, the court found that the notice of motion for an order to produce Mr. Malanji's secondary school certificate and also the calling of a witness to validate the said certificate has no merit, hence dismissed it. The Federation of Free Trade Unions, President Chingatam Siska, has advised workers to attach themselves to relevant unions and have their interests protected. In an interview, Mr. Msiska notes that many workers do not belong to unions, which makes it difficult for their interests to present once they are aggrieved by their employers. And Mr. Msiska says there is need to ensure that the minimum wage can sustain people, especially with the current basic needs basket sitting at over 9,000 kwacha.
I hope that in the new government that the minimum wage should be looked at critically. Because obviously, as we are talking, it's sector based, where the miners may have their own minimum wage, those in the manufacturing industry having their minimum wage. But there has been a complaint everywhere. This is why we feel, as a labor movement, that most of these our workers should be unionized. Let them form unions. The law is very clear. You are allowed. You have the freedom of association. And every worker out there, they have to fight to form unions, fighting in the manner where they are going to be heard. The employer will always marginalize those that are weaker vessels, like the employee. So it's high time that in the new Dawn government, workers take advantage of what is currently obtaining. The freedom of association is very clear. Let's form union. If you can't, this is where we find now the Minister of Labour coming in place to form this law. Yes, there are laws that are not okay, there are laws that we feel need to be done and improved upon. Because even the minimum wage, if you look at the food basket, in certain areas you find that it's not tenable. It's not something that we can take, talk about, because basically these are very minimal. They are salaries which we can't even talk about. They are just allowances elsewhere.
We'll check our second set of commercials. Coming next is international and sports news.
We welcome you to the wonderful world of Savenda Electronics.
At Savenda Electronics, we pride ourselves in manufacturing high-quality electricity and water meters.
Boasting of the first of its kind state-of-the-art manufacturing plant in Zambia, Savenda Electronics manufactures customized smart electricity and water meters of international standards for both the local and international water and electricity utility companies. Our highly computerized factory, run by qualified staff, makes, calibrates, and electronically tests the smart meters to ensure only those meeting customer specifications are delivered to the market. Some of the main features which come with our meters includes notifications about low units, tempering, low battery, and many more customized features. Savenda Electronics provides on and off-site after-sales service and has favorable contract terms for water and electricity utility companies. Savenda Electronics, the real deal.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the...
She has so much data.
Mom?
Yes, baby?
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow!
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
We still need more players, yes, because we need to balance the team. We need to have maybe on one position 3 or 4 players.
The third Camnet Stars football trial is on. This time, Camnet Stars are looking for young, talented and skilled soccer players between the age of 18 and 20 years old. Start your lucrative football career in Europe this July. If you know you are one of Zambia's best gifted soccer players, don't waste your time. On Sunday, the 12th March 2022, there will be trials for professional soccer stars. Venue, Kablonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Time, registration 13 hours. Kick-off 14 hours. 100 kwacha non-refundable shall be paid, and your birth records must be produced upon registration. Camnet Stars, setting football standards for international market.
Thank you for staying with us. We now get into our international news. A former Guinean minister had been imprisoned and another placed under judicial supervision in Conakry for embezzlement of public funds and corruption, a special prosecutor's office announced on Tuesday evening. The former budget minister under Alpha Condé between 2010 and 2020, Ishmael Dubet, was placed under warrant in a Conakry prison, and the former minister of state and special advisor to the presidency during this period, Tabu Kamara, placed under judicial supervision, said a statement from the prosecutor's office of the Court of Repression of Economic and Financial Offences, CRIF. In other trending news, Russia has launched an all-out invasion of Ukraine by land, air and sea, the biggest attack by one state against another in Europe since World War II and confirmation of the worst fears of the West. The attacks began on Thursday after Russian President Vladimir Putin said in a televised address that he had approved a special military operation. The move came after Moscow earlier recognized the rebel-held terrorists in Luhansk and Donetsk and said they had asked for its help. Russia missiles rained down on Ukraine cities. Here's a roundup of international news.
The months-long build-up of Russian troops on the border with Ukraine has turned now into an invasion. Ukraine under attack. Military bases, airports and aircraft have been targeted and bombed. The skies over multiple cities, including the capital Kiev, lit up waking up residents in the early hours of Thursday as Russian artillery advanced.
Not very many could have, predicted that he would be striking at so many multiple targets.
The civilian casualties are unknown, though Russia says it will only attack military posts. As a response, Ukraine has declared martial law.
I had a conversation with US President Joe Biden. The US is starting to gather international support. Today we need you, each of you, to be calm. If possible, stay at home, please. We are working. The army is working. The entire security and defense sector of Ukraine is working.
These attacks come after Russian President Vladimir Putin declared 2 separatist areas in the Donbass region in eastern Ukraine as independent and said Russian civilians who live there need protection. The battle for Luhansk and Donetsk in eastern Ukraine has been going on since 2014, with more than 14,000 people killed in fighting between Russian-backed separatists and the Ukrainian army. Now Putin has demanded Ukrainian forces retreat.
Whoever would try to stop us and further create threats to our country, to our people, should know that Russia's response will be immediate and lead you to such consequences that you have never faced in your history. We are ready for any outcome.
The operation began despite last-ditch appeals from members of the UN Security Council to ease tension. Ukraine's ambassador to the UN demanded his Russian counterpart step down as chairman.
Call Putin, call Lavrov to stop aggression. There is no purgatory for war criminals. They go straight to hell, Ambassador.
In a statement, US President Joe Biden warned of a catastrophic loss of life and human suffering. There's a mood of desperation developing now, many people just jumping into their cars, getting their families together and heading on the road trying to get to Poland. But the main auto routes are all jammed. There are so many people trying to do the same thing. Others are going underground, taking shelter. The missiles are getting closer now. Emergency meetings have been called to reach an agreement, while the shelling and build-up of military troops on both sides continues. This is Ukraine's darkest day.
UNICEF has warned that over 2.7 million children in Chad will need humanitarian assistance this year. These children are among the growing numbers of infants suffering from malnutrition in Chad, a landlocked Sahel country. A security crisis has further forced farming families to leave their fields, overlapping with extreme weather events and the impacts of COVID-19 pandemic. That's why we think this year will be a little bit more critical than the previous ones, because this time last year we didn't have as many children. Today we have 27 children when our activities usually slow down at this date. We should have 15 or 16 children in the hospital per day. In 2019, a surge of admissions meant that staff had at times 3 children per bed. So far this year, the unit located at the Chad-China Friendship Hospital has admitted 118 children. They stay for between 5 and 7 days getting special care with intravenous feeding. This is the second time I've taken my child here. I'm here because my child suffers from malnutrition. We have been here for 8 days, but thank God, he is much better. Those factors are amplified by grinding poverty. 42% of the population live below the poverty line. The country ranks third in the world for child mortality after Nigeria and Somalia, according to the World Bank. A former Guinean minister has been imprisoned in another place under judicial supervision in Conakry for embezzlement of public funds and corruption, a special prosecution office announced Tuesday. Ismail Dubati, who is a former budget minister under Alpha Conde between the year 2010 to 2020, was placed under warrant in a Conakry prison, while Thibaut Camara, who is a former minister of state and special advisor to the presidency during this period, were placed under judicial supervision. Both Dubati and Camara appeared Tuesday before the investigating chambers and were prosecuted for embezzlement of public funds, money laundering, corruption and complicity, according to the prosecutor. A judicial investigation was also opened against Mr. Zenab Drame, known as Zenab Dambaya, who headed the ministerial department under Mr. Conde. Charge in place under arrest on Wednesday also included Ms. Evelina Fola Mansara, a former administrative and financial director of the Ministry of Technical Education and Vocational Training. The military, which took power by force in Guinea, has made the fight against corruption its major focus and one of its major battles. Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya, the head of the junta who became president, assured that there will be no witch hunt, but that justice will be the country's compass. The junta has proceeded to evict numerous executives from the state services.
We now get into sports news. Ukraine says Russia has launched a full-scale invasion with explosions heard in major cities, including Kiev and Kharkiv. Champions League final on Saturday, May 28th, was due to be held at Zenit St. Petersburg Gazprom Arena. UEFA will move the Champions League final from the Russian city St. Petersburg on Friday due to the escalating situation in Ukraine. The final was due to take place at the 68,000 capacity Gazprom Arena in St. Petersburg on May 28th, but UEFA President Alexander Keferin has called an extraordinary meeting of the Executive Committee for Friday to confirm the decision to move the match. It is unclear whether the governing body will confirm a new venue for the final. Russian President Vladimir Putin instructed an attack on Ukraine with explosions heard in the Ukrainian capital, Kiev, while blasts were also reported in the cities of Odessa and Kharkiv. Well, that sports item brings us to the end of Camnet TV main news, but before we go, here are the headlines once again. UPND cadre shot dead in KALIKI-LIKI put to rest. Constitutional Court rejects Malanji'S application to produce his grade 12 certificate. Government to evacuate 141 Zambians currently in Ukraine. And in international news, Russian forces launch full-scale invasion of Ukraine. And in sports, UEFA to move Champions League final from Russia due to Ukraine's crisis. Before we go, here's our Camnet verse of the day, and it's coming from the book of Isaiah 55 verse 1 to 2, and it reads, "Come everyone who is thirsty, come to the waters, and you without money, come buy and eat. Come buy wine and milk without money and without cost. Why do you spend money on what is not food and your wages on what does not satisfy? Listen carefully to me and eat what is good, and you will enjoy the choicest of foods." Thank you for watching. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Pleasant viewing.